This is the Tista River. Born in the icy mountains of Sikkim, flowing through the plains of West Bengal, and finally entering Bangladesh. A 414-kilometer lifeline, 309 kilometers in India, and 105 kilometers in Bangladesh. But today, Teesta is no longer just a river. It has become one of South Asia's most sensitive strategic flashpoints. On one side is Bangladesh, fighting for water security. On the other side is India, worried about national security. And somewhere in between emerges China, reshaping the entire diplomatic landscape. This convergence of interests has turned the Tista Mega Project into a geopolitical battleground. And in this arena, India is losing ground. So, how did things reach this point? This is Teesta. To millions in northern Bangladesh, it is not merely a waterway, it is life, it is culture, it is survival. For decades, India and Bangladesh have negotiated a Teesta water sharing agreement. Drafts were prepared, including the 2011 proposal allocating 42.5% to India and 37.5% to Bangladesh. The remaining 20% was left unallocated. But the agreement never came to life. The reason was simple and political. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee strongly rejected the terms. Her opposition stalled everything. And in this political stalemate, nearly 20 million people in northern Bangladesh suffered. Every dry season, the river shrank to half its depth. Every monsoon, floods and erosion wiped out villages. In the last decade alone, more than 20,000 families were displaced along just 35 kilometers of riverbank. And then, China entered the picture. In 2016, Bangladesh's Water Development Board signed an MOU with Power China. The plan? The Teesta Comprehensive Management and Restoration Project, or TRCMRP. The vision was ambitious: dredging 102 kilometers, reclaiming 170 square kilometers of land, building industrial parks, residential zones, solar power plants. A transformation of the Teesta Basin, and a permanent Chinese strategic presence in northern Bangladesh. China offered to finance it all. This is where India's worries begin. To India, TRCMRP is no longer just a river restoration plan. It is a strategic alarm bell ringing across its northeastern security architecture. Delhi believes China's interests go beyond economics. Industrial zones, housing clusters, energy infrastructure, when built by Power China, could become dual-use facilities, civilian today, military tomorrow. But India's deepest fear lies further north. The Teesta Basin sits dangerously close to India's most fragile strategic link, the Siliguri Corridor, also known as the Chicken's Neck, a narrow passage connecting mainland India to the northeastern states. If Chinese-built infrastructure enables surveillance or strategic activity near this corridor, India's national security faces a direct threat. For Delhi, the equation is straightforward: Chinese footprint in Teesta, pressure on Siliguri corridor. This is why Teesta triggers India's geopolitical alarm system. But India's biggest weakness is internal. The Delhi-West Bengal political divide continues to paralyze India's Teesta policy. During Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's recent trip to Delhi, India announced plans to renew the Ganges Treaty and draft a new Teesta management framework. But Mamata Banerjee immediately pushed back, accusing Delhi of bypassing state consultation. While she expressed affection for Bangladesh, she made one thing clear: she would not support any Teesta deal that compromises West Bengal's interests. This internal friction cripples India's diplomacy. Whenever Delhi inches towards compromise, state-level resistance blocks the path. Former Indian diplomats openly admit that this political deadlock weakens India's strategic response and leaves more space for China to move in. Mamata's rigid stance slows India down, and every delay pushes Bangladesh closer towards Beijing. The Tista Mega Project has now reshaped India's balanced diplomacy. Because India and Bangladesh have failed to resolve the long-standing water dispute, Dhaka is using Chinese engagement to secure water, revive the river, and strengthen its negotiation leverage. The project signals a strategic tilt towards China. For China, Teesta is the gateway to expand influence deeper into South Asia. A stronger Chinese presence across the Bay of Bengal weakens India's regional dominance. But for Bangladesh, the challenge is delicate. Dhaka must avoid falling into a debt trap, which means Chinese loans must be transparent and aligned with international standards. At the same time, Bangladesh needs India. Dhaka must maintain historic ties, strengthen cooperation, and push for an equitable share of upstream waters, especially with the renewal of the Ganges Treaty on the horizon. Even as the Tista project proceeds, Bangladesh must keep water sharing talks alive, because in the long term, true water security cannot depend on any third country. It must come from fair and sustainable upstream agreements.